we are. Okay. Welcome, everybody. First of all, apologies for absence.
Have apologies this evening from councillors Hill, Hutchinson, Quigg and Palliser.
Thank you. And a little bit late because of the traffic outside. Next item is members' interest, to receive any declaration of interest from members on the business to be transacted. And if anything pops up during the meeting, you can show your interest at that point. Next item is minutes of the Leisure Committee on the 16th of January. So it's to receive and confirm the minutes of the proceedings of the Leisure Committee held on the 16th of January 2025, pages 1674 to 1678 as a true and correct record. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brossard, Michael, thank you. And I will sign it because I forgot this time. Don't do other papers later. Sorry, folks. Oh yes, sorry, all those in favour? Yeah, thank you. Item 4 is large events. To receive an update on the summer of fun events following the recent parish and towns meeting. And
So we've had the meeting for the parish and towns where we all work together for the suppliers for the Summer of Fun event. This year's event will be on the 8th of August here. Every parish is holding an event this year. Last year Winkfield didn't. So we've started to book things so far. It's looking pretty similar to last year with the animal farm, the inflatables, the games. Bracknell Forest are supporting with a lot of their teams coming out to provide games and interesting things to do as well. So the recycling team, etc. So planning is well underway for that one.
everybody's happy, I presume that we're going ahead with that. I think you agreed to be going ahead with.
We set the budget.
We have set the budget. Okay, that's fine.
Decision, so I'm happy to second your.
Okay, thank you. Everybody's in favour that we go ahead with it, given that we've actually got the money in the budget, yeah? But he does.
Yes, Paul.
Yeah, it was.
Right, next item is to discuss the VE Day 80th anniversary. Would you like to bring us up to speed?
Yes, I'm sure that you're all aware that it's the 80th anniversary on the 8th of May, and I know that the borough are doing an event for that, so nothing has been planned separately for the event here. We do have the option, as we did previously, to purchase a flag from the official suppliers that provide the official flags to both the government and the MOD, like we did last time. And the cost of that is around £30 to £40, depending what size we had.
Okay. I'd like to propose that we buy a flag. Seconder? He was the first on the hand up. Thank you. All those in favour? Perfect. Thank you very much. Easy. And then it's the next item is the Armed Forces Flag Raising Day, which is going to be in June.
It's the last week in June, which we always hold here, depending, the day will vary depending normally on what suits the RMA best. There is some question at the borough at the moment, and they have called a meeting with all the parish and towns and the RMA, which is next week, to discuss armed forces events and including remembrance, and to potentially suggest joint ventures, which I'd really like everyone's thoughts on this evening, so that I can go into the meeting with a view of this council to see how we feel about doing joint events rather than holding our own.
Then,
Are we talking about remembrance?
The Remembrance and Armed Forces Day are the ones that they're looking at.
I'm not troubled by joining together for Armed Forces Day.
I am, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
I do believe the one we do is very well received, and I think the schools enjoy their coming to it. But given the huge success of our Remembrance Day services, I would be loath to break something that our residents have turned out in their thousands for and take part in, and look forward to us demonstrating our respect for the sacrifices that were made. So whilst as I say, for the Armed Forces Day thing, the resources of the local military may be the reason why they're looking to do that. But certainly, I certainly couldn't support us not having our own specific Remembrance Day service.
I'd agree with that.
I think everyone would agree with that.
Well, I'd go with that,
Thank you.
because if they want to do it in Bracknell, they're not going to march from Sandhurst RMA to Bracknell. They march here, and I think we should maintain that.
No.
But the Armed Forces flag raising, the borough used to do something with that, and they decided they didn't want to pay for it anymore, so we took it on. And I have a feeling that they want to come and join in because it's reasonably successful, but they still probably don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I'm very much against that one as well. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I think if we were to have the some form of joint here, it wouldn't be so personable to Sandhurst. And last year, for those of you that came, it was really nice having the local school children reading poems and sort of giving their thoughts on things, which just really made it a community event.
You'd then get the schools Bracknell coming here.
Paul had his hand up next, and then I'll come to Mike.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I know from hearing the Bracknell organisers of their parade, and one of the, and forgive me because I'm not having a go at the Royal British Legion, who do a great job, but they are known to be difficult to deal with. And of course, Bracknell have to deal with them because they are there. If that service became here, they would bring the Royal British Legion with them. And they're not easy people to work with. Which is why the Royal British Legion's building is still there in the middle of the new town of the Lexicon, because they point blank refused to cooperate, and they were offered a phenomenal sum of money to vacate. And the other thing is, if people, I mean, you are allowed to go to anyone that you want. Well, we here in Sandhurst are the home of the Royal Military Academy. And so it's natural that the Royal Military Academy would want to celebrate such events locally to them, not to go to an administrative place that's not anything to do with them as the military. And so if a member of the public wants to come here, they can go in. We don't charge. We don't bar people if they're not residents of Sandhurst. So I think thanks, but no thanks.
Mike, you want to say something?
I am as a veteran like others in this room, it's particularly unpleasant to kind of hear a negative debate around that, because it kind of forgets about what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that we have a tradition in this town. Others are welcome.
Of course they are.
Tradition is ours, and we should carry on as we see fit. You're all very welcome, but it doesn't change. This is our town's.
Absolutely.
I'm sure others would agree. It's not a subject that should be pulled apart. It's ours. This is what we're doing.
No, I would absolutely agree. I mean, I just feel that they want to sort of muscle in because it is so successful here. And it works here. This is what we do in Sandhurst. So I would like to propose that you go back to the manager and say that actually we would prefer to keep it
Seconded.
here, where the Royal Military Academy and the Army are based.
Second.
All those in favour?
Shall we?
Thank you.
I think the other thing, just adding that people are welcome.
Of course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
Anyone can come.
next item is the paths at the allotment site to receive and consider a request from Sandhurst District Allotment to remove. I love the name of this. What do you call it?
Flatfoot.
Yes. Come on, Phil, what have you got this time?
So, most of you have been to the allotments and you know full well there's a path that runs right the way through the central hills. That path was laid at the back end of 2013, early 2014, and I know that from the satellite imagery. Thank you, Google Earth. In 2013, it's just a grassy bank, and in 2014, somebody's laid a path. And what they did is they took 600 mil square slabs and they simply laid it onto the grass end to end for 111 meters. Nelson, 111 meters. And what's happened over the last 11 years is that it subsided. It subsided laterally and it subsided end to end. So sometimes pavers are not against each other. They're not butting up to each other. And in fact, in the last year, 3 people have tripped and fallen over. And such is the demographic of the allotment users that I'm quite frightened that we'll end up with a fractured hip or something similar. And we'll be calling on the emergency services to come and evacuate somebody. It needs to be relayed. It needs to be relayed wide enough to take a wheelchair. A 600 mil slab does not take a wheelchair very well because on either side of the slab, it's very soft. And if a wheelchair goes over on its side, it will tip. And it doesn't also take a trolley particularly well for the same reason. So I'd like to relay it. And I need to ask your permission in order to do that, because I'm not allowed to go around excavating and things like that, as we know, because I've learned that lesson. Thank you very much. Is that I need to relay it. And I'd like to relay it by taking up the slabs and putting down some interlocking gravel and having that whacked down nice and flat, because it will take in the rain. When it rains, it will simply soak through into the ground, as opposed to running off the slabs that we have at the moment. It's easy to maintain. If we end up with any small potholes, we can refill it with the gravel and whack it down again. I could get professionals to do it, but I think it would take about £30,000, staggering enough. I could try and relay the pavers themselves, but they will just simply move over time again. And I'd need to put some really decent hardcore underneath, which it doesn't have at the moment. So I'm going to have that expense. Or we could simply pick up the slabs, flog them off at a poundage to the allotment users. They'll always buy them. They're always willing to take the stuff off my hands, and relay a proper path all the way down. And I reckon that's in the region of £2,500 to £3,000, depending how we do it. So I just need your permission to be able to do that. And then I'll have to come around with a begging bowl that's near to date, I'm sure. But first of all, I need to convince the committee. We recently held our AGM, and at the AGM, it was the #1 concern of the members. And so I promised them that I would do something about it. And that's why I'm asking your permission to do it.
I'd like to propose that you go ahead with the way you want to do it, and if need be, come back later and see if we've got any spare cash. But I'm not making any promises.
No, I understand that, and I wouldn't expect that. Again, I understand how the system works. Yeah, thank you.
Seconder? It's the second. It was Dale first. So. All those in favour? Thank you.
Could I just ask a supplementary question
You can.
on that? When in the picture, there are paths off.
Yeah.
Should this allow you the flexibility if you raise oodles of money to do that as well.
So historically, the committee has taken responsibility for the central path because it's common to all users and everybody has a part to play in it. And that's why the committee takes responsibility for it. And that's why we're concerned if somebody trips over and falls. But those that run off the centre between the actual allocated allotments are the responsibility of the allotment holders themselves. As you look at the allotment, the one to the right is the allotment holder's responsibility.
Yep.
And so when I flog off the slabs at £1 a go, they will consume them and relay them along those central parts and then trip over them, I'm sure. So
That's their problem then, isn't it?
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Fran.
Thank you very much.
Next item, item 6, entrance and exit to Acre car park. We have previously agreed that we need to strengthen the entrance and exit to Acre car park. And an annex 2, you have a costing. Only one company's responded, apparently, after asking for quotes. And we have here, as you have in front of you, the total cost of nearly £19,000. There is money made in the maintenance budget for the park. And I would like to suggest that we go ahead with this because I think it's essential that we actually make sure that that entrance and exit is protected, which is not at the moment.
Question, if I may.
Yes, of course.
It says both entrances with flow plates. Having been there on firework night, work in that car park and seeing them coming in the exit because the flaps.
Yeah, they need replacing. I
We
said that for a while.
absolutely need to do that.
Yeah.
But the bigger they can be, the better, because it got very technical in there because one car came in and another half dozen thought they could. And we had to, didn't we, Michael? We had a bit of a show.
on that.
So those flip up barriers, can we make sure they work?
They did work, but they've been there a long time and
Yeah,
they've got damaged.
Absolutely.
Knocked about, so they do need replacing, but we also need to deal with the gates.
Yeah.
Do I have a seconder? Going ahead with that?
Can I?
Yes, Dosh, yeah.
Forgive me for not being a bit sharper off the mark. The thing with those plates, and I haven't inspected those, but I know the thing in there. I know how it works. When water pools around them, it brings slurry and mud, and that is what very often stops them, operating properly. And the quicker it floods, the quicker they cease to function. With the investment that we're about to make, is it possible to include some sort of work to make sure that area doesn't flood? But the trouble is, of course, it tends to be like, with a dip. I just wondered if there's any way of talking to the contractor to see if they could find a way of it not flooding.
I would suggest we'd need a different contractor because they are just purely installing this. They don't look at flood and drainage because the whole car park obviously was done, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's one thing with drainage when it was relayed to tarmac.
Chairman, if you just ramp it up a little bit more.
Well, if it
That's
was, if you sort of drove up to go over the things, then they wouldn't be sitting in water.
Yeah, that's all. Could the contractor consider that?
We can ask.
Can I ask? Yeah, certainly.
John?
This is primarily to stop uninvited guests. Yeah.
To protect our land.
Yeah, and it causes inconvenience to football and stuff like that, so I appreciate that. But is there a guarantee that it's reasonable to expect they won't get in? Because I think
No.
19,000 £19,000 is a lot of money to spend on something which isn't actually going
It's
to.
not.
You can never guarantee.
You can't guarantee, but is is it actually going to reduce it? 'Cause if it's not going to reduce it, it seems like a waste of money.
We don't know, do we?
We don't know.
We don't know.
But if it's strengthened on what we've got currently, it's certainly a step in the right direction.
All I would say is that all of our encampments have been via that entrance and not via the main entrance gate, which is a gate that we like these ones that we're proposing to have up there.
Okay.
Whether it's a coincidence that they've not come through this way, I don't know, or whether they deem that easier to get into, but
They have
we
been,
won't know until.
they have been in this car park before.
Yeah.
They have been parked up in
Have
this,
they?
oh yes, in the past.
Certainly not in my time.
Nothing an angle grinder can't stop.
That's absolutely.
Yeah,
We can only do the best we can do, and we need to do the best we can do to protect our land for the use of our residents and the youngsters who want to do sport here.
And I think there are occasions, of course, where people are paying to go on that car
Yeah.
park. And when you pay, it certainly does deter the ordinary resident attending something from trying to nip in the exit
Oh, yes.
to avoid paying. And then it doubles the manpower required to collect money if you've got to watch to an entrance and an exit.
But that's just for the flow plates. I mean, but
Yeah,
the gates are the biggie, really.
Yeah.
So, anybody else?
I'm just worried it's quite expensive for something that isn't going to be proven to fix the job. Is there any way that we can get alternatives?
We tried, and nobody else was quoted.
Mm.
That's the whole point is this is what's been done. But they have done work for us before. These people, they're not an unknown company. I mean, I'd like to propose that we go ahead with this. I think it's essential that we do something, and I think this is the best that we've come up with.
It's an investment.
We've been trying to do this for quite some time, and I've been
Second.
talking about the flow plates for a long time, and it's good. So, those in favour? Those against? Anybody abstaining? I don't think so. I think it was just one against. In which case, we would like to go ahead with that. Next one, Annex 3, music in the park. We've had requests from the Grasshopper Band and the Sandhurst Community Brass Band to perform concerts in the park, which they have done before. But I think they've both come up with dates the same. And my suggestion would be we give them permission to go ahead, but they'll have to negotiate with each other as to who does which event when. We're not going to tell them, well, you do that day, and they'll let them just sort it out amongst themselves. But I'm personally happy that they go ahead with this. Do I have a second? Thanks, Nikki. All those in favour? Any? That's everybody. Thank you. Thanks very much. Next item, the cricket pitch. Receive a request from Sandhurst Cricket Club to Sandhurst Town Council to make a monetary contribution to the repairs of the artificial pitch and to receive information on the successful grant application. Simon?
Yes, so thank you. At the last meeting, we came and spoke about the desire to proceed with a planning application and a grant application for placement of the non-turf pitch, which is on the edge of the square, which needs to be ever so slightly increased in size to meet current sort of regulations with the ECB. That was kindly agreed. The grant application was submitted, but there was the caveat that I think Andrew reminded me at the end of the meeting or during the meeting that there could be a shortfall, and if there was a shortfall, we come back and with our begging bowl. So we were very pleased to receive an £8,000 grant towards the project, which was more actually than I thought we would get. And that leaves a amount of £1,154.80 required in partnership funding to complete the project. Alongside that, the club's already invested about £850 in the project in terms of going through the planning process and getting drawings organised and so on. The grant needs to be completed. Sorry, the grant needs to be drawn down by the 31st of January. So ideally, the project needs to happen this year, and obviously, the sooner it could happen, subject to planning permission being agreed, of course, which is in the process, the more cricket we can play on it. So we are here to seek contribution towards the delivery of that pitch, which I think we spoke about before. Ultimately, the idea of going to the grant was actually it offsets what would have been a more significant cost to the council to put that pitch in. When it would be due to be replaced at some point, but actually this is almost providing £8,000 to offset the cost of the council, as I look at it anyway. But that's probably all I need to say. If there's any questions.
Anybody wish to say anything?
It's a very good idea. Seems like a good idea, isn't it?
Have we got money in the budget for?
Well, we've got money for under pitches. That we
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't got a specific line, but yes, there's it would be available.
In which case I'd like to propose that we do give the grant, because that way you can go in with us and make things work properly for the cricket players. Seconder.
Yeah.
All winners and full W. All those in favour?
Thank you very much.
Next item is parking and football match days. An update, third resolution. I believe we have been out to solicitor. We've come back with some information, which my suggestion is it goes to strategy and policy, because it will be up to them to make the decision on it.
We've also received notification back from the league. So you'll recall we agreed that I would write to the league and the FA for their response. The FA haven't responded to date. I'm not sure whether Bracknell Town have heard anything back from them.
They said they hadn't when they wrote previously.
Yeah.
John, I think it was at the
Yeah.
last meeting.
But the Southern League did respond, and pretty much, sympathise. They're saddened to hear of the behaviour. Responsibility for managing spectators is that of Bracknell Town FC. The club should have ground rules in place, and stewards will be based on the risk assessment of each match. And basically, if the spectators are asked to leave and refuse, the police should be called. And then the final line on there really is palming it back to the FA. So they suggest that I email the FA about it, which we've already done and had no response. So there's not really anything tangible in either of those areas.
We did hear from the police that actually some of the things that were said about what was happening on the day actually weren't quite as true as we might have thought they were.
Yeah.
Andy, anything?
In response to the last meetings, pieces that were raised, in regards to the points that were raised, that the police contacted me after the event to basically be very, very complimentary towards the way that we had arranged and organised the event, and the fact that the known potential issues that could be arisen weren't arisen by the fact that we had stewards and police present on the day. So in regards to how that piece was run, the police were actually very positive towards what we had done in regards to that situation, and there was no current or issues that we're aware of, apart from the couple of items that were found on entrance to on inspection, and on departure. There were no issues in and around the ground or within the local sort of area as the police sort of departed after the end of the game and stuff like that.
Thank you. Jean, I have a question.
Can I ask a question? Yeah?
So during the meeting, the last committee meeting, it stated that there were weapons and there were drugs. Now, I understand that the police are aware of the weapon, which was a metal grinder.
No, so
Can I finish?
Yeah.
It was a metal grinder. In the committee meeting, it was raised by your representative that there were drugs found. But the police are not aware of that there were any drugs that were reported on the day. Can you tell me why you didn't report the drugs find to the police?
No, the two items that were found was a glass bottle, which was a used beer bottle, I believe, and a metal grinder. Now, is everyone aware of what a metal grinder is?
No.
So,
Okay, so a
Yeah.
metal grinder is supposedly used for grinding cannabis to be able to smoke cannabis with. So the points that were raised at the last meeting, I think, were concluded the association to the metal grinder. It wasn't, the police were there when the grinder was confiscated and found on a bag search. I think the association to confirm that drugs were there is not true. I think it's an addition to the fact that it was a grinder.
just to be clear, you can go back onto YouTube and to hear him say drugs.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
So he reported that there were drugs that came through those gates into our
So
town.
just for me to respond to that, with the greatest respect, is that he hasn't got any item to be able to test that product to know whether it was drugs or not. He made that statement. I'm not denying that. It's on film. It's on YouTube. But I think he was incorrect in what he stated. Again, I'll go back to this. I think because it was a grinder, I think the association was alongside the fact that a grinder could be used for cannabis.
Yeah, the police were happy that it was a grinder and it wasn't drugs.
So what I was really saying is the police report from the Bracknell Neighbourhood Policing Team were aware of the grinder, but it's the drug element of that that actually is significant to people who live here. It's drug paraphernalia going into the ground on our land, and it's something that would concern us, people that live here.
Well, it didn't enter the ground because we did searches on them and we found it, and therefore it was confiscated and held by the police. So therefore we put in place stewards to search and to have those situations, which we found it, and it was confiscated.
Was that person still allowed admission to the ground?
They had a choice of entering into the ground and putting giving up the thing, and so that's what he did. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the update.
Okay.
And we were going to receive a traffic management report from the SB group, sorry.
Was there any come back with you'd said about based on lease amendment about looking at the lease?
Yes, I've just said that it's going to structural policy.
Right.
We were due to receive a traffic management report from the SB group, which they have paid for themselves as because they felt they should. Unfortunately, Kane's not here tonight. We were expecting him.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's went to the dentist today and he's ill,
Yes. Sorry.
or he is still suffering.
Okay.
I have had a verbal conversation with him in regards to that report,
Yeah.
which was held against our last home game against Marlow, which is quite a big game. We had a crowd of 518 for that game. Do you want me to give my opinion on the report, or would you prefer to read the report and then go through it factually?
We probably ought to see the report at some point.
Okay, so I can.
But tell us a bit, please.
The general observation was that the parking obviously increased percentage wise in the local area whilst the game was on, but as you would basically expect, but it wasn't to any significant level that exceeded any concerns from the highways. I could try and find it on here and go through it if you would like. On simple terms, they reported no major concerns within parking from the event.
Thank you for that.
So just to be clear, sorry, Jim. Just to be clear, what you're saying is they don't see a parking issue in Sandhurst related to the games.
I'm giving you my opinion on what the conversation I had with Kane was about it yesterday, once that had come back. I haven't read through the full report myself, so I don't think it's fair for me to respond to that. I'm giving the opinion was that on the assessment for that game, the parking did raise as a percentage, but not to an excessive level. But that's as much as I'm aware of that situation. I haven't read the report fully myself.
And it was done just based on this one game between Brighton and Marlow.
Yeah, I think that they, again, Kane organised it. And my understanding is they have to choose a date to come and do it. And that was the date that was chosen, which was a more local game. Obviously, I don't know if you're aware, but we obviously have people from the south of England that travel here. So Plymouth or Tiverton, etc., etc. So a more local. Pardon?
We remember.
Oh, okay. A more local game was chosen, as common sense would suggest that a larger crowd would be attending two local teams.
Can I ask what the
Actually, no, sorry,
sorry, Dick.
As I haven't seen this report,
no, nor have I.
I can't query or challenge or support any of it. And I thank the speaker for giving us his opinion at this stage. But I'd really like to see a copy of the report before we can make any subsequent decisions if necessary.
It's not a decision,
No,
it's an information item.
Whatever it leads.
But I'm just.
I need
have
the
you-
report.
So, have you seen the report? No. My understanding is the highways didn't see a significant problem with parking that they would be worried about. Please say, yeah.
Just to be clear, this isn't the council's report.
No,
This
it's
is
not
a
like
private
this.
organisation's report.
No,
Which
it's a
we had-
highways authority.
No,
Was it? Okay.
no,
I understand.
it's a report that was commissioned by the SB group. That's why they're presenting it.
But
There's something seriously wrong. We didn't set the terms of reference. We didn't design the scope. So this report is their property and it's their conclusions. It is not the council's.
my suggestion is that we wait to see said traffic report and for whom it came from. But my understanding is it actually came from the highways authority. But anyway, we will wait and see, and we will look at it when we have access to it.
I think Kane sent an email, Jean, saying who it was done by. Actually, it wasn't the Highways Authority.
Did I-
It was a private company.
I haven't seen that email, but I know it.
Straight after the last Leisure Committee, he sent an email down.
I saw that one,
It's in there.
but I haven't seen the report either. Paul,
Is it, from my memory, the Highways Authority, Bracknell Forest Council, doesn't do reports themselves. They contract them to a private contractor. So I think you're both right. So
anyway, until such time, sorry, Graham.
Say, at the moment, it would be nice to read the report and have a chance to prepare proper questions for
Yeah.
it, I think.
And I
to be
would
honest.
suggest that we will have to see the report. It's unfortunate Kane is not here tonight. So,
Engage Motion Transport is the name of the company, Jean.
okay. I don't know anything about traffic, of course, it's not my department. Just a lowly member of the public. So anyway, things are being dealt with as a result of some of the highways. We're not ignoring it. Press and publication forward plan. To review and add leisure elements of the press and publication forward plan as required and to receive an update on recent press articles released by Sandhurst Town Council. Got anything to go in? In which case it says decision, but there is no decision to be made. Council reports. To receive verbal reports or updates as required from borough councillors or councillors representing Sandhurst Town Council on outside bodies. Oh,
No.
John,
Aye.
Nikki, Sophie, Mike, Chris, Ali, Paul, Mike, Graham, Dan.
If I may, Chairman, remind members that the neighbourhood plan consultation ended and the responses that we got back enabled us to create a draft neighbourhood plan, which earlier this week we were able to put up on the details on the website. And we've got until that consultation on the specific policies in it are out for people to respond to those policies. The reason why I mention it here in leisure is the leisure committee it has the council has a number of spaces that within the plan get mentioned.
Okay,
So if I can recommend, we did do 2 briefings for councillors, but if I can ask any councillor that wasn't able to make those briefings to look at the neighbourhood plan, and if any of the policies therein they wish to comment on, there's an online form and there's a physical. Thank you.
so encouraging councillors to participate, please. Next item is sports club. Do we have an update from the sports club? No, Hazel was going to go to the meeting, but Hazel's not here and I wasn't able to go, so nothing there. Sandhurst Residents Association, anything from you, please?
Really, all about the magazine, and hopefully you've all had your magazines. I think you'd agree it's a pretty hard-hitting front page. We are up against it. Lots of donations coming in because of this QR code. I've been shocked, frankly, and it just goes to show the strength of feeling there is about the usefulness of the magazine locally. We're not out of the woods yet, that's for sure. Whether we end up having it online as well. The problem is we would have to discover the people that want written magazines and the people that want to look at it online, and that's not going to be easy. We've applied to the council, so we're hoping we may be successful with a grant from them, but we'll have to wait and see. We keep trying.
Are you getting good response for the
Very good
request for donation as well?
People are setting up
Really good.
standing orders.
Yeah,
It's going really well.
I think.
Yes, in fact, what was very encouraging, I was in the Sandhurst Day Centre today, opening the letterbox to recover the keys for the minibus. And there must have been probably about 20 letters that were addressed to the SRA here at Sandhurst Day Centre. Including letters you either cheques or cash. And will that be the arrangement then?
Yes.
If people want to
Yes.
make a donation, they can do that via the Day Centre.
I'm sure a lot of the readers don't understand QR codes, wouldn't be able to pay via QR code. So the alternative is that they can either take cash or drop cash or post cash into the Day Centre, and Day Centre have agreed to cope with that for us.
Yeah. In fact, Royal Mail are beneficiaries because it's first and second class stamps that are put on the envelopes.
But it shows you, the strength of feeling that people, will go to the trouble to do that.
Long may it continue.
Is there anything else on the?
No, it's done
SRA?
through PayPal. So
Is there anything else on the SRA, but other than the magazine?
no, unfortunately, no. Not
Okay, all right. That's obviously taking priority at the minute. Thanks very much, Richard. Sporting clubs and societies. The first one is Simon.
Cool. Suntown couldn't play cricket today. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah. Although it's going to get cold again, but no. So I think it's definitely been a bit drier, which obviously is going to help. I think get things ready for the season ahead. Lots of training going on at the moment. Our junior sort of All Stars program went live last week. We've got 24 places. I think 18 or 19 is sold already, which is good. So that's all looking okay. one question or query I had, obviously I think Brandon mentioned today they've got refreshed quotes for the renovations that are planned. Is that a case of us just liaise with Brandon, or are they going to decide who their preferred?
The committee will decide.
Okay, so we'll come back here next meeting. Perfect.
The
Cool.
budget was set because we agreed it last time, but it was just a case of renewing the quotes
Yeah.
and choosing the provider.
Cool. It just got a bit quiet at one end, mainly because of Adam, but that's good to know. Few new captains, TVL, cricket. Yeah, hoping for the sun to shine and, planning to come through and have a nice shiny new pitch to invite people down to see as well. So hopefully a good season ahead.
Good. Chris?
So for us, we had our FA accreditation renewal completed, so we maintained our 3-star accreditation. So for context, there's 20,000 non-professional clubs in the UK, and we're in the top 2%. So it's only 2% of the clubs are 3 stars, which means we have an adult, a male pathway, female pathway, and disability football as well. So that's a great achievement. Our tournament is fully sold out. That's the 17th and 18th of May. So down hatches for complaints about parking. 350 teams coming across. We've got the rotors, we've got the car parks manned. We're hiring field, Shepherd's Meadow, which we've just been told that may be the last time we can do that because it's changing use or some sort of name. So that I'll think about that in July, about how we manage park people, but that's a slight concern. But we've got new parking signs. So we trialled it in the September event where we put signs around the outside of the park, made it nice and clear, big no parking signs. We put them in on Park Road as well, which hopefully will help. So we'll do that for Park Road, Boylington this time to make sure it's clear that you can't park here. And yeah, we're towards the end of the season. There's still thousands of games to complete because the weather's been horrendous. Good old cricket will get the good weather. And we've got a few teams in semi-finals and winning leagues, so it's very successful. It's all good.
Good. Thank you very much. Alan, nice to see you. Is tennis starting to do some more again?
Yeah, likewise. The sun has come out. It's pretty good, really. And the tennis club is nowhere near as big as these other clubs, but nevertheless, we've kept going through the winter. We play every Sunday morning, and we get lots of support for that, which is great news. And of course, as the clocks go back at the end of this month, so then we'll be starting playing on a Tuesday evening as well.
But actually,
Okay, all right.
they're not going back.
You know what I mean.
They change.
Okay, so we'll have the extra hour, so we'll be able to play tennis in the evening for the people that work and can't get here at the moment in time. So that's good, and there's lots of enthusiasm there. And we have had a team in the Berkshire Leagues this through the winter, and we're again entering that for the summer as well. The standard is not that high, but everyone's very keen, and it's good to see, and it's thriving well. Just one comment: the courts, they're excellent courts still. But there's a bit of moss showing in places.
I can just comment on that. Nick and the team have been treating that all week.
This week?
It has been treated over the last couple of weeks, but it just needs to die off naturally. And that is the advice of the providers. So that's a progress that's going forward. They have all been treated.
I think that's great. I was just worried that it gets a bit slippery when it gets damp,
Yeah,
and then someone might fall over, and obviously we don't want that. So I thank you for that.
no problem.
Ali, just a question.
Out of interest, paddle is becoming a very popular sport. Is that something you detest it? Because it's
Sorry, I can't hear you.
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So what paddle? PADEL.
Oh, I've heard of it.
is
Paddle
not-
tennis is a very growing sport. However, it's a bit of a cross between squash and tennis, and you need it on a custom-built court with glass back to it, because it's, as in squash, the ball comes off the back and then you knock it forward again.
Nice.
It is played outdoors, not only indoors like squash, but it's outdoors. But it's quite an expensive item to set up a court. it is a growing sport, and yes, there's lots of people want to play, but the thought of having such a court in Sandhurst is, please, Ange.
At the minute, I think. With the dog, not married to that, that's for sure. Not at the minute, anyway. Yeah.
Just if an item of interest there, Wellington College claimed to be one of only, I think, 3 locations in the country where you can play every racket sport going. And so if we want paddle in Sandhurst or close to Sandhurst, we should tell Wellington they've missed one.
Don't say that, I'll end up paying for it.
On a serious note, there are lots of organisations using paddle to generate significant revenue because the occupancy of those courts is 60, 70, 80%. So cricket clubs are looking at placing them on spare land.
Right.
And there's no agenda item about leisure enhancements within the park, but
Yeah. Well, like squash used to be.
No, it's an exciting game, and yes, everyone's very keen because, like squash, you know, it's very well supported.
Trouble with squash is
Right.
Do need a bespoke.
That's not an agenda item, sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Or pickleball or any of the others. Andy, you've got anything else about the football club that we need to know? Football clubs.
Or a couple of items. The Army FA have been working with us quite closely in the last 6 months. Every year they hold an inter-services competition where they play the Army and the Navy. In men's under 21s, masters and females. Predominantly that's held at Aldershot's Stadium. They had a lot of issues. So they made an approach to us, and we're really proud to say that they have held the under 21s their game against the Navy, where they won, and they actually won the inter-services for the first time in 8 years. And next week we have the Army Ladies and the Army Masters playing their home fixtures at Bottom Meadow, which again is great for us to continue those links with the Army and the military services locally. So that's something to just update you on in regards to stuff that we've been doing with the local community and the military services. And finally, to everyone's delight, I'm sure we have Bracknell have made it to the Berks and Bucks Senior Cup final, where we will be playing against Flackwell Heath. That's played on a neutral venue. That was due to be played at Didcot FC, which you'll all say that's not in Berks or Bucks, but originates from the original Berks and Bucks FA. But due to the location of ourselves and Flackwell Heath, that's now been moved, and they're going to be played at Slough on the 8th of April.
Okay, well done. Well done. Next. Anything else with the allotments other than?
Yeah, absolutely. This time last year, you needed a paddle in the allotment. Not so now. First day of spring, absolutely glorious. People are extremely busy, very active indeed. We had our AGM just earlier this month, and the members agreed the new constitution that I wrote over Christmas, much to the chagrin of my wife. And that's gone. So now we have a proper constitution. We've always had rules. We've never had a constitution that describes how the organisation should be run. That is now in place. Everybody's happy with it. And I think that we'll have an outstanding year this year with growing things. I just sense it in my bones.
Judging by the way things are growing at the minute, I would like to think that was the case.
Yeah.
Thank you. Julie, gardening.
Oh, sorry.
We've done it, sorry.
Yeah. I didn't engage brain. Yeah, the gardening club, we had our AGM in February, well attended, and the existing committee were re-elected, apart from we've got new treasurers as we lost our old treasurer, passed away in autumn. Good start to the year. We've had some cracking new speakers. Super. Oh, I should have said, sorry. We now have 2 co-chairs rather than 1 chair. We have co-chairs. Unfortunately, though, we had, some of you might know, I don't know by reputation as much as anything, Chris Dresler, who founded the club.
over 60 years ago. We had our 60th birthday just under 3 years ago. She passed away at the beginning of the month.
Oh, I hadn't heard, so.
No, well, it's come as a shock to us as well. We only heard last week. She started off the club. She was integral to it. It started off in a small little hut in Ellesmore, apparently, next to a little chapel that isn't
I remember
there.
that chapel, yeah.
I don't think the chapel's there anymore, is it? No. She started off the trading hut, which started off as like somebody's garden shed. And she was the one who pushed the club, so it's the size it is and the success it is now. I think might have been a slight detriment to her family on occasion because the club was everything to her. But it is thanks to her that we have over 300 members. We have a fantastic trading hut. She was the one who pushed for things like the shows. We have summer and autumn shows, spring shows. We go on trips. And it was her pushing and her vision all the time. She was with us well enough to celebrate our 60th, as I said, which was almost 3 years ago. But since then, has really been quite poorly. She lived quite a distance away, and driving became almost impossible for her. So, to be honest, over the past 18 months, we've not seen her at all.
And how old was she?
Matter of debate. She wouldn't tell people.
No, I can imagine.
I think her birthday was in January, and she went into hospital the day after her birthday and didn't come out, unfortunately. 89, 90, 91.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a good age,
she was a
but
good
that
age.
doesn't.
Well, if she's been doing it for 60 years, she must have
Well,
been
exactly.
good age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, condolences back to the gardening club, for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that will be the bulk of my SRA article next quarter. Because I think she was just such a character within, you lose people all the time in your clubs, but she was really, really quite a character, as anybody who knew her will know and may be scarred from.
That's it.
Okay, so yeah.
Have we got anybody that hasn't
No.
given? Okay, thank you for that. So in which case, the date of the next meeting is the 15th of May, my wedding anniversary. And Andy's.
Ignored that.
It's not a special one this year, it's next year, there's a big one. Right, and that is exclusion of press and public, so to pass a resolution in accordance with the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960 to exclude the public and press for discussion of confidential business. Which I will propose. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thanks, Dale. All those in favour, which we're supposed to do every time. Thank you very much. Sorry, people, you have to go.